Here we go. First day, going for the 6:20 ferry, and it's already backed up. In 2006, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it's back. Hi, I'm Denise, and this is Travels in My Chair. I know today's going to be a little bit of a different video than you normally would get from me, but I think a very important video, so I hope you do stay tuned. It might help you. I'm going to start at the present. Just give you a tiny bit of a backstory, but mostly this is about today. In December of 2006, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. One of the drugs that I was given, which I will talk about in another video, is a drug called letrozole. And at that time, letrozole was an estrogen inhibitor, and for women over menopausal age that had cancer, breast cancer, that was reacting to estrogen. My oncologist was at the tail end of a clinical trial on a new drug called letrozole. And this drug was showing incredible promise, and so I was on it for 11 years, which is probably 6 years longer than recommended, but I wouldn't let her take me off it. I was like, she'd go, do you think it's time to come off the letrozole? No, you can't take me off letrozole. Are you kidding? It saved my life. It shrunk the tumor so quickly. Now let's fast forward to the late spring. I've been having ongoing problems with my left leg and my lower back. And it's really easy to blame that on MS, because the symptoms are totally, seemingly nerve related, as is MS. So I would be having lower back aches. My left leg, which has always been my problem leg anyway, started getting shooting electric shocks down it. I was getting then pains in my right leg, which I've never had before. And there was lots of times in the last few months where I haven't been able to stand properly, because when I put my weight on my right leg, which is my weight-bearing leg, the pain would be so bad that I couldn't handle it. So at one point I phoned my doctor. Because of COVID, this is the point, the important point of this whole thing that I want to make. Please listen closely. You're not seeing your doctors face to face. We're relying here in BC on what they call telehealth, which is absolutely wonderful, because if you have a prescription that needs to be renewed, you don't have to march your sorry little butt into the doctor's office and wait for an hour and a half in a germ-infested waiting room waiting to see your doctor. So it's great. So please don't get me wrong, telehealth is a much preferred way, for me anyway, to do business. However, a lot of people are not seeing their doctor, and so because they're not seeing their doctor, he's not able to read their body language or the fact that they look pale or uncomfortable. And when you are on the phone with your doctor and he says, so how are you doing, Denise? Fine. Whereas if I was sitting in front of him, he'd look at me and go, no, you're not fine. At this point with COVID, and we're not through it yet, guys, you have to be your own detective. You have to be your own advocate. You have to speak up for yourself in a nice way. Nobody knows your body like you know your body, right? I called my doctor. And I asked him if I could have a CT scan on my lower back and my right and left hip. And he asked why, of course. And I said, because the pain isn't going away and the pain's changing, and I need to get a handle on it, and I want to have a baseline so that I can know what's going on with my body. And I would also like a complete set of blood work done. Again, he said, why? And I said, well, you know, I did have breast cancer in 2006. And I haven't had that complete blood work done since 2017. So I think it would be time. Absolutely, he said. Absolutely, we'll get it ordered. We'll get it done. Then I went into fast track motion. Because it was the summertime, I guess. Nobody was getting scans done. All of a sudden I was getting a call from the hospital, our local hospital. Yes, come in. Tomorrow we can do a scan. No problem. So they did a scan and it came back with marks on my right sacrum. So as near as I can figure until I actually see the scan myself is if you go down your spine and then you go down to your tailbone and then a little bit to the right, I think that's where it's at. And it's a tumor that's in the bone, and there's a tumor, a soft tissue tumor attached. So I had the complete blood work done, the markers were all elevated, and my doctor said, yeah, we're putting in the request right away to the cancer agency, we're going to get on this. See now why I say it's important to be your own advocate, to be your own detective, not to bury your head in the sand, and don't be afraid to ask if you need something done. Because if I hadn't done any of those things, this would be a totally different story. Hey, and the story might change, okay? So, but this is where we're at right now. Hello, all you friends out there in YouTube land. It's July 27th. We're sitting in Queen Elizabeth Park in Vancouver waiting for appointments. So here's what's happened so far today. We got up at 4:30. We took the 6:20 ferry. We got to our appointment early. We got to meet with the oncologist and her resident and her nurse. And I was told I had a pretty large tumor on the right pelvic, at the base of the spine, but not in the spine, to the right of the spine, and also in some soft tissue. So they decided that they would do one dose to start with of radiation, and that they would call us back, and that's what we'd do. And I'd go back on my favorite drug, letrozole. Next thing you know, the nurse comes in and says, we have a cancellation, so we can do a CT scan at 1, and we can do a heavy dose of radiation at 5:30 and get all the drugs all lined up. And that's why at 2:30 we're kicking our heels and relaxing in Queen Elizabeth Park. I feel like I'm in the absolute best of care, and they all are trying to get this all fast-tracked so we can have our family reunion at the end of August. Like, can you believe it? Geez, I just looked at myself. No makeup, been up since 4:30, exhausted, still have to have this super high dose of radiation. Not looking so hot, but you know what? I may not look hot, but I'm ecstatic that I'm getting the treatment I'm getting. I told them I wanted them to be on the same team with me, us to be together, working together, and they're all in. Amazing. Truly amazing. I almost cried a couple of times today. I literally have been sleeping all day. Going to bed at 11 and sleeping, getting up at 9, having a little bit to eat if I can, going and sitting on my recliner, nodding off, waking up, nodding off. Oh yeah, we want you to take morphine, because most important thing is we want you to have pain management. You don't need to go through any of this with pain. I went, oh, another pill, oh God, okay. And then I had a day of feeling not bad, and then all heck broke loose. I would get up in the morning, I couldn't eat. I didn't feel sick, so I wasn't taking the anti-nausea pills. I just didn't want to eat anything. Bowels weren't working properly, either not at all or too much, you know. The morphine, wow. At nighttime, for the first time since 1996, I didn't have a hip pain on my left side, and I slept like a baby. Totally relaxes you. Bad thing about that, also relaxes your bladder. Just a warning. I'm being pretty open about all this, because I think it's important to know what's going on with your body, don't you think? Thank you for joining me today. Have faith in your medical team. Be honest with them. Be honest with your family. Talk openly about the things that you want. And it will be difficult for some of your family members and your friends to talk about that with you. Be gentle with yourself. As it is right now, I've got a trip to get ready for. A big trip. Next time I see you, I might be away with my family. We'll have a nice visit. See you in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.